Good morning. I'm higher vibrations, and so are you. I'm not how well the connectivity will work for this. We just had this amazing blizzard come through, a very uncommon experience because we didn't have an autumn yet. Um, as a result, the internet is very sketchy. So if I do go away, we will come back in a different link with my phone. Right now, we're using the data to see if that works. So welcome. Thank you all for coming. Um, so there's a couple of different important things that are occurring, important in a good way, an exciting way. Um, First of all, we are in the eve of the lunar eclipse, at least over the part of the world that I'm in, where we will be able to see it at about 2:30 in the morning Pacific Standard Time. It'll be at its peak. Hello, welcome, Faith. Good to see you. Um, the fun thing is, I just find it just hilarious. Is it's called Hey, how's it going, Carmen? It's called the the Blood Beaver Moon, and I find that, hey, Mandolin, welcome. I find that really funny. It almost feels like I'm saying something that's inappropriate. It's kind of hilarious. Welcome, be beautiful. Thank you for coming. This eclipse that we're having, Carla, hello. We are having this cool eclipse that's a bookend eclipse. We had this one that was seen, I think 80 something percent of the lunar or the solar eclipse was that much of it was seen over Africa. But in most of the places in the planet, we didn't see that much of it or at all. However, the energy of it occurring still is impactful. And so those of us who also aren't going to be in a visual range of the lunar eclipse, they'll still be that we're feeling it. Um, her mind went there too. Yeah, that's right, Faith. It's kind of funny. And, for those of you who are maybe a little bit skittish for female stuff, close your ears. But what's really interesting too, part of this ascension experience, I've noticed that I've synced up with the moon, which is kind of, now I've never had a predictable cycle before. And it's just the past 3 months. This may just be that it's my unique experience that's occurring. Hello, Cool Deep. Welcome. So glad to see you. However, it's, a lot of me too, says Faith. It's very strange. I've never been predictable. And all of a sudden I am. And it's just always the eve of the full moon. This full moon also is bringing in some amazing energies that are culminating with all these other astrological events that are occurring. So it's just, we can feel it. A lot of our ascension symptoms are increasing right now, which is why we're doing this live right now. I always start with the first page of 2 pages or so. I mean, there's always so much ascension symptoms to talk about, and I don't get to the second page. So we're going to go backwards today. Mandolin says Scorpio season creeping in the shadows. Yeah, there's a lot of dueling feeling kind of energies is how I'm noticing it, experiencing it. And it feels conflicting in a way, and just know that you're not, alone in that experience. Welcome, Paul. Good to see you. Also, Carmen says he fell asleep during the Zoom meeting. Oh, it's okay. I'm really glad you're able to join us. Yeah, and that sleepiness, that's one of the symptoms that it's in the first page, but it really should be talked about because it's a profound experience. It's profound exhaustion that I am having experience with, and many of us are. Just this, and what's really strange about it, this is my personal, I don't know, like exchange with this energy, is that I'll be so tired 3 to 4 hours before I can go to sleep that I'm just like, oh, hold on. And then by the time that I can go to sleep, I'm awake. And then I'll end up being awake sometimes 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning and then be exhausted all day. It's just this thing but then 2 days ago, all of a sudden I went to sleep at a reasonable hour and slept like 10 hours. But sleeping is really weird. We're having a lot of our lucidity in dreams, being more lucid in our dream experience, having a higher recollection of dreams. A lot of us for a period of time were all of a sudden not recalling our dreams when we were typically expected that. That was just a common thing. And then all of a sudden it was gone for a while, then it just came back full force. And so a lot of us, this is kind of fun. I find this really exciting. It has happened throughout my life, on and off, but in a consistent way. A lot of dreams from childhood dreams that we had in sleeping experience a long time ago are coming back, not in dream exactly, but just like memory as if the dream had just occurred, which is really kind of cool. And most of the time, it's really easy to see why. There's some kind of message or experience that. Michaela, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Love and blessings to you also. And Faith says Scorpio life. Hello, Michael. Hello. Moon woke you up at 1:30 a.m. Wow. Yeah, the moon energy is intense right now, and it's amplifying all of this other experience. So we're going to go backwards really quick. And I'll keep looking up to what you're talking about too. I love this engagement. By the way, there was a question that went out the other day. When was your awakening? A lot of individuals are struggling to find that date. And so it's kind of fun to see when other people, because in my experience, I've noticed for me, there have been like phases of this awakening. Technically, it started for me when I was almost 4. And, there's just been phases of it. Carmen says 2019 was his awakening. That's really cool. And Faith was vibrating it up at 2:30 a.m. Yeah, right, Mandolin. What stage of my awakening? Exactly. It's kind of a fun question to really think about. At first, it used to really bother me. Like early on doing these YouTube things, people are like, well, when was your awakening? And you feel like you're trying to come up with a lie almost. I didn't like that feeling because there was a lot of it, a lot of phases of it. Welcome, Sarah. Good to see you. So one of the things a lot of people are experiencing, and a lot of individuals reporting emails, comments, and stuff like that, is the sacral chakra area is intensifying again. That happened the last full moon also is when we first really started to feel that. And like pregnancy related symptoms, a lot of individuals had this. It's as if I'm pregnant, feeling the fluttering in your sacral chakra. For those of you who are men, it doesn't matter, man or woman. This is an experience we're all having. We all have that manifest sacral chakra energy space. And so you will also feel a lot of these symptoms too. It's probably more confusing for you, I'm sure. As well as aching and pains, like considering like a period kind of menstrual cramps kind of thing, weird pressure and stuff, strange bloating in that area. Also, a lot of us are taking on this like Buddha belly is the best way people have described it. It's just this thing that's happening in this area. And remember, we talked about this not long ago, that we've always had the manifestation energy and available to us, but now it's amplified. It's more accessible to us right now. And so as that's occurring, we're noticing it. We feel it in a physical way. So that's really an interesting experience a lot of people are having. The extremities, so your arms and legs like tingling, and also a lot of people are noticing sensations that maybe they hadn't noticed before. At first, it feels like discomfort. I've noticed as that's happening, what I'm clearing out areas in my my circulatory system, in my veins, and I didn't realize what I was doing. We're all on a self-healing like expansion right now, and so some of these self-healing things, they don't feel the best when it's realigning and fixing itself, as well as this increased sensation in the fingers, and just almost tingling in a way, like as if you're feeling for the first time. There's some new sensation and feeling the energy that's just right there. You don't have to even touch something to have that experience. Oh, and before I forget it, going along with that pregnancy-like symptoms, a lot of things that seem like UTIs. Remember, these are people that had already seen the doctor. The doctor's like, you're fine. We don't know what's going on, and that's my case too. I if you're having things that you're concerned about, I fully suggest and support that you go and see your doctor just to be sure. But just having that as if you have a UTI, but there's nothing wrong. A few of us been experiencing stuff like that for a little while. And along with that alignment stuff, we're having our bones pop. So like our neck and our spine are like aligning, and it's not while, we'll be moving around sometimes and it will pop into place or something. This is not what we're talking about. It's like you're in a place of rest and all of a sudden, like it's crazy. I had it start at the base of my brainstem all the way down to my tailbone. And that was just, it was a startling experience because it was unexpected, but it was really cool. So, you know, Mandolin says, "You are welcome. Took me 3 years to figure it out." Oh, I think I'm missing. I'm sorry, I'm not keeping up very well right here. See, so, oh, cool. So Cool Deep says hers was April 2019. That was a really common year for a lot of people to come into the awakening experience. And also there's a couple of other ones that are really big, like 2020 is a really big one, 21 and 22 as well. Like it's kind of been an ongoing thing from that point. A lot of common experiences during 2017, particularly around the solar eclipse that we had that year in August. A lot of, it's 111 here right now. A lot of people had it 2012. But again, it's what phase of our awakening. And a lot of times when we are feeling like we're in the beginning of our awakening, we look back and we realize this was just part of the awakening that's been occurring for some time. And there's so many different phases, and then we move through it, find ways to logically explain it away, and then, not realize that until later on. So it's kind of fun. There's this other thing that we should discuss, this depression sensation that people are having. I've had the interaction with it momentarily recently. And for those of you who are experiencing that, and just all of a sudden it just feels heavy. There's like the energetic heaviness, and also people are having that there feels like that gravity's heavier too. Those are two separate experiences, but they are both ascension symptoms people are having right now. That depression or that anxiety or that just that kind of feeling that's coming in, that's just us being asked to fill ourselves back up with the light, with intention, and so it's time to remember that when we breathe in, that we're pulling the light in from God's source down through either our crown chakra or our heart chakra. A lot of us have been recently prompted to start drawing it into our heart chakra as we do that. Whatever feels most correct to you, trust yourself. As you're doing that, let that light fill up your body. Just watch it do it. And a lot of times it feels like you're using your imagination when you're practicing intent. So while we do that, we fill up with that love. Because love and light are both the same thing. There are no separation between the two. And that love fills us in and up. And now we are, again, a full complete in our power of that love energy. And then send out a love. Like say, I love you. I love you. And when I send this out to you, you will feel it. And when whatever is around me gets in contact with it, it changes the vibration of that experience in our presence. Whether it causes it to flee, for it is not of the love and therefore cannot stand before the light, then it will flee, right? If it is of love, it will answer back with the love. And what's fun and really cool about that is when that love comes in, it's just an overwhelming, in a good way, sensation. Often I find myself crying, and just that love that just kind of envelops you. It's so beautiful. So as that's coming through, and it's not as easy at first. So just try again and again. Whatever brings you to that love harmony space. Sometimes it's even important to, at that moment, stand up and dance, like make some music or whatever and move. You don't have to even be standing up. I've been doing it with somebody local here that can't, so they lay down their back, dance, move that out, and allow yourself to be in some type of play space, and that assist that experience. So I hope that helps with anyone that's feeling those heavier energies right now. So the other thing about the brain fog, I should talk about that. A lot of people are having this intense sensation of brain fog right now, and it's kind of a little overwhelming. Another way to describe it, for those of you who have been pregnant, that pregnancy brain feeling of just like kind of in this fog space and just kind of stuck, and that's, again, this stuff moving through us. So we've been vibrating at a different level than a lot of these other things have, right? And when we're vibrating down here, we can't perceive it, right? It's up here. And so now as we are raising up our vibration to this point, there's many layers above this as well. And we are on our way up there as well too. However, now that we're at this point, all of a sudden these new things are coming into our perception. And so we're having the ability to not only see things like light orbs and silhouettes of light, like you see the outside aura of a being that maybe you don't see the inside of, or these cool spider web looking things that are just these beautiful, light, little joyful. These things are coming into our perception, as well as we're having experiences with weird focus and stuff. And this illusion or experience, it seems like it's like if we're in a place of fog. And a lot of that is us trying to decide what's real. And so it's kind of, we're having this experiences on many different levels, not just in our identity, not just as Pamela, for instance. So as that's coming through, just know you're not alone. A lot of us are going through it, and you're going through it. You're not going to stay in it. And that's true for all of these things. These are all temporary experiences. I saw a question pop up. Closing of the throat. Yes, throat chakra stuff. Throat chakra things. By the way, if you have a question, please add a question mark so I can see that. I love how many people are here, by the way. Thank you. There's 22 of us. What a beautiful number. There's a lot of stuff with the throat chakra. So for a long time, we've been living in a, not, what's the right word, a species, not a culture, civilization, whatever, of individuals who weren't able to move past the third chakra. And that's just kind of where the jump to the heart chakra was just too profound, or too big of a jump, I suppose. And so anyway, finally, over the past 4 years, I would say, but mostly the past 2 years, everybody's heart chakras have been opening up, and they've got there. They made it to that place, that jog that was so far away. And now we're here, a lot of people. And that's partly why I actually have these Zoom meetings that I do every week. I do twice a week now. And they're free. That's so you can use that voice. That's, you can speak your truth without judgment. This is a place where a bunch of us are, in this experience, and many of us have spent many years being told that we were crazy or something, and so there's reasons for us, whether in this lifetime or others before, where we haven't been able to use that truth, speak your true authenticness. And so that's happening. A lot of people are having throat closing up. All of a sudden, just this weird, it's not dryness of the throat. It's like one little strand of just dry. Or a lot of people have been having oral and dental trauma, even. Like, I know for me, I'm still going through a series of dental appointments to try to resolve this thing. What had happened was, all of a sudden my teeth started to shift and make spaces. I never had spaces between my teeth before. And they started to make spaces. And when they did that, for me, not going and getting it looked at soon enough, I suppose, that shifting that happened on my teeth caused damage to the other teeth behind it. Other people I've talked to have had to have complete change in their dental experience, like had to have like all their teeth taken out, or many of them, that type of stuff. Now that's some of us are having it, not everybody, but there's this dental oral thing that's occurring. Guardian of Orion, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Much love to you. It's really good to see you. And this throat chakra space has a lot to do with other things too. Noticing whatever glands these are, I can't recall. And just that all this other stuff, noticing this weird popping thing. We did a parasite removal meditation recently in our Zoom meeting. And in that, I got to kind of connect everyone's energy. I noticed that most of the parasites are around this place on people. And parasites, we all have parasites. It's team body, right? And what's happening is we're noticing we're moving our energies up, and these energies that were a part of team body before are not in harmony with this new energy space. And so we're pulling away from them. And as we're pulling away, we have to ask them to go in some cases. And it's just fascinating that I saw that most of it was sinus and just around this area, because we are coming into our throat chakra and letting it come in. So let's see, Ozanda, I hope I said your name right. I take seriously strong prescription for sleep, and some nights it's suddenly like I didn't even take one. I'm wide awake all night. Yeah, it's really bizarre. And being exhausted all day. That's the part that I don't understand, is that I am profoundly exhausted. Noticing difficulty to physically keep my eyes open. And then finally it's time to go to sleep and I'm doing something. Like I decorated for Christmas already because I was, it's just a thing that's happening. It's amazing. And also I'm noticing there is something activating and beautiful and important right now. If you can find a way to take a small nap during the afternoon, it's that time, something's happening. That kind of sleep, something is bigger is occurring than when we sleep at night right now. So if that's possible for you. The other thing that's kind of fun is this Wi-Fi and technology failing thing that's occurring. I actually had that at the top of the list at the beginning, and now I'm struggling with my internet. We just had a blizzard. We haven't had an autumn, all of a sudden snow, and so it took down a lot of lines. I'm running off of a hotspot right now, so I'm not sure how well my connectivity is. So if I do disappear, I will come back on with my phone. So I apologize for that ahead of time. But having the technology glitching and failing has been a really incredible thing to experience. And a really interesting and beautiful observation someone made is if you are noticing that your presence is affecting technology, that is a kind of a, hey, you can try seeing if you can actually control that technology, to a point. And it's kind of enjoyable and empowering to let yourself witness what you can do, whatever that may be. Another experience is to see a cloud, usually a small one at start, and watch it with your mind's eye disappear or dissipate, fade away, and then it will, like then the way that you want it to. It's a very validating experience. Synchronicities, of course, we're seeing a lot of the same series of numbers. They're everywhere. It's like you can't hardly ever look at the clock or anything without there being like 111, 222, and stuff like that. A lot of increased and just appearing for the first time gifts, psychic abilities coming online in a strong way. I've been talking with a lot of the locals around here who, had been in an experience of not really open to a lot of this stuff, calling it new age or whatever. I don't even think this is the awakening. I think it doesn't have a different name. However, those individuals are also having this stuff happening right now, like, and freaking out a little bit because they're not sure what's happening to them. Just like us, not just our physical form, but we're noticing gifts. We're noticing, for instance, this one's fun, and it takes a minute to realize what happened until you realize it, So you're talking to somebody, having a conversation, and all of a sudden, it's as if an hour or so has passed, and you feel someone's, and usually it's a someone that you're familiar with, energy you're familiar with, their energy is moving away from you, and you realize this big conversation you just had, and then it's like, wait, where'd that person go? And you're still speaking, like it only been like a split second, because this person came in, you had a conversation exchange, and then they went on, and you were in the middle of a sentence. And that's been a really bizarre experience for me, mostly because then I usually forget what I had been saying to that individual, and then I try to not jump into a place of embarrassment, because that doesn't really assist me in staying in the resonance that I want to. But I should probably see what else I got written down really quickly. I get intense sensation in my solar plexus out of nowhere and suddenly. Yeah, Izanda. I don't know how to say your name. I hope I'm saying it right. All these different chakras right now, and we have been brought up to understand the 7 chakras, right? We have those basic ones. However, a lot of chakras. We have a lot of chakras. If physically, in our physical form, I'm told 144 of them, and that number makes sense to me because that number is a frequently occurring number. And as those chakras are turning on, we're noticing sensations. The chakra coming on the temples, in the palms of the hands. Right now, really bad in the soles of the feet, in a strong way, where it almost feels like when you wake up in the morning, as if you had been walking on concrete for a long time without shoes for a long, and like that sore sole of your feet thing happening, as well as the hands. noticing this realignment of things. I just healed a shattered foot not long ago that had been shattered a long time ago, and just it all popped together and went back to the way it's supposed to be. So a lot of us are having healing stuff coming on. As we're noticing these things come, just know that it's something that a lot of people are experiencing. The joints, particularly the knees, and I bring this up because it's a very common symptom for a lot of individuals, and we're not talking about people who have previous injuries or anything like that. We're talking about individuals who have never had an issue, who are quite young and are having this kind of experience. I know a lot of stuff that we're having is also commonly related to menopause. And what's fascinating is individuals truly believing they're in menopause and finding out that they're not, and things like that, because we're having all these things, the hot flashes that come with menopause, and hot cold flashes. Though most often I'm noticing it's my hands and my feet that are like on fire, and the rest of my body's like happy the way it is. And it's just a thing that we're all going through. Bursts of momentary depression. Again, I brought that up, but I wrote it twice. It's just something that's happening to people. Know you're not alone, and that it is solvable. It's not sticking to you. It's moving through you. And to help it to move through, we just send love to it. It's just it's not for you. It's moving through. And so also bursts of euphoria, which has really been fun. Often for me, that these bursts of euphoria are so pronounced. They're just, wow, overwhelmed with the beautiful emotion that I find myself weeping, and crying with joy, as well as other types of crying right now. There's that big release that's occurring. We're purging in many ways, purging and releasing a lot of old energies. That's why we're here. We came to do this, and you do it regularly in your sleep, literally. And we do it in an automatic way. There's not really anything that we really need to do with it. Just to know that that's what's happening, for me anyway, changes the experience. Then I realize I'm not a victim of this experience, that I'm serving it, and it makes it different for me. And I then can control it, isn't the right word, but then I can make it be, it move through more efficiently and without as much disharmony. Izanda says, I'm not vegetarian, but for the past few years, the taste of meat repulses me. Yes, that's going to be the next topic. I didn't eat a hamburger for over a year. Now even chicken is grossing me out. The taste, the feel of biting into flesh. Yeah, so amazing. Like, I was a full-on carnivore at the beginning of a handful of years ago, of like this part of the awakening. And then I noticed after a while, certain for me at the beginning was hamburger. I couldn't do that. And then beef. And then I slowly removed all these different types of meat out of my diet. And it wasn't just that I was repulsed by it. That did happen. The first part I noticed is that my body started to not like it, and it would just go through me very quickly. And or after I'd eat it, I would just feel, just unwell and very bloated and just not comfortable at all. And a lot of the symptoms that you would expect to see for somebody who has an allergy to food or something. And then that occurred slowly over time with different things, certain types of processed food, then processed food altogether, things that were contained in certain types of materials, that were leaching into the food and not even realizing it. It just slowly occurring. What's really fascinating is that all of a sudden, the past few months, 6 months maybe, I can't remember for sure, on and off, people are having this desire to eat meat. Hello, Corey, welcome. So good to see you. Anyone feeling disorientation or vertigo? Yes, I will talk about that in just a second. The experience with the food moving through us, by the way, I just want to say it feels like food allergy. And the doctors around here are calling it that. You have an allergic reaction to this food. What's happening? The way I understand it and experience it is, again, we're moving through to a higher frequency. And at that higher frequency, we have different needs than we did when we were down here. Or maybe perhaps we could tolerate certain densities when we can't really any longer up here. So listen to your body. Your body will tell you. That includes the types of food, not just the types of food that you eat, but also how you eat and when you eat. I started to do this thing that I do intermittent fasting, I fast. I don't eat several meals a day. Usually, I don't have breakfast. I skipped that after a while. I'm finally accepting that I've never enjoyed it. I always felt sick after breakfast. Before I knew it, I was just eating dinner, and then a snack or something like that. But and then as a result, sometimes I'll also skip dinner, and it turns into what I call unplanned fasting, because I'll look back and realize I hadn't eaten anything for a couple of days, and I'm not giving this as a suggestion. If you have any kind of blood sugar related things that you need to be aware of, please just be conscious of it and aware of it and be safe. But the best I have been able to find for me is to listen to my body. My body talks to me, and your body talks to you. A lot of us have ignored it for a lot of years because that's just what happens. You take an antacid after you eat something like that, instead of being like, oh, my body's saying no. So Corey's question, the feeling disorientation and vertigo, that's the top of the list. Dizziness, vertigo, disorientation, lightheadedness, all the same time and kind of fading in between each other. It's kind of a strange experience. Definitely something that's been a really common ascension symptom for a year, but the past, I would say 3 months, it's changed to all of those things connected. Carla says she's got disorientation too. A lot of times I'm noticing for me that disorientation is understood by realizing or accepting that occurred, that energy moving in, having a whole conversation. So it feels like an hour. And then the energy of the person, the being, the individual that you're energetically, telepathically experiencing, then they move away. You feel their energy moving away. You understand you had this conversation, yet you are in the middle of a sentence with somebody else. And just like, where am I? What's happening? And that's a lot of what I've been noticing from my experience when I feel that way. It's not always the case for everyone, but it's just really kind of cool. And also, sometimes feeling like you're not sure where the ground is to put your feet, energetically speaking, and just like we're moving away from a density, right? And the thing is, it's flow. It's a flow that's occurring. It's not like, it's not. And so when we do that, there's this touch and go kind of thing where we're as we slowly pull away from it. And so there's a lot of that too, I think, is that we're containing within us the energies of both spaces at the same time, or just really quickly, intermittently. And so there's this disorientation sensation. It's really cool experience to have. I would say once there's an understanding what's happening. Pardon me. Hello, Bob. Welcome. Good to see you. It's good to see you. I haven't seen you for a bit. Ozanda says again, I keep saying Izonda's name wrong, and I apologize. Sometimes when I walk, it feels like there are lead weights on my feet. I mean, heavy lead weights. Yeah, exactly. So that gravity, that was the other heavy we started to talk about. We didn't really go into. They're just noticing your gravity feeling heavier. So when we feel that heavy density, that's one experience that's separate from this. This one now we're talking about is just feeling like you're underwater. There's like a resistance in the energy. And again, I think it really is us noticing as we're pulling back and forth, and also something that should be said is a lot of these things that we're seeing that we perhaps didn't see before or acknowledge visually before, they're not just appearing all of a sudden. We have been, each one of you, surrounded by this team of light for a very long time. Like they're your team, and you felt them and perceived them in many ways, guardian angels, higher selves. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of beautiful individuals that are present for you. And now that we're raising our vibration up to that same vibration, that same frequency, now we're starting to see them. It's not that they're just invading. So that's something that's really cool though, to know, and you're anything that you want space for or whatever, your privacy won't be violated. It's not something like that. But it's really cool. It is beautiful. Be Beautiful says, I'm feeling like I can hear people's thoughts. Yeah. And what's fun about that, so anytime that someone's deciding to speak, they do what is called project, the projection. And I never knew what that was before. And I always felt I'm very aware of people's privacy. And so just, don't want to cause anyone any kind of ill will or heartache or anything like that. And so it bothered me that I would suddenly have someone's thought, because I didn't want to take someone's thought, right? And then I realized after time, what's happening is when that person begins to speak, they send you this parcel of information. And that parcel of information, the thing that they're going to tell you, is addressed to you. However, not always do they speak it. They may change their mind right after they've sent that. And so, but it's already been delivered. What's kind of interesting in that occurrence is that sometimes I'll be in these meetings with a group of people, and an individual will have been wanting to speak and didn't. However, I still got the parcel of information. I still got what they were going to say, or at least what they had sent to me directly. And then when that comes in, often they still hadn't got around to speaking. And then once they do, it's a real chore for me to remember they haven't said that yet, and so because I've already had the chance to play with that and like slowly unfurl each one of the petals of this lotus that they gave me, and there's a response from me now because I have this information. It's like, yes, me too. And I need to remember to be patient and let that person tell it with their voice. It's kind of funny. It's just this new thing that we're doing right now. And then Izonda said, I came in a few minutes late, so I'm behind what's being said. Oh, that's okay. Jordan, hello, welcome. Feeling like we're in different times or different realities at once. Yes, that's a very, very good way of saying it. Exactly. And also just kind of noticing yourself and your soul experience presently everywhere. And that's been really crazy fun to play with in a very reasonable, responsible kind of way. Just stopping and sensing all of my extensions. I don't know how else to say it. Currently embodied and participating in completely different timelines, completely different space time. So, like, for instance, being in the 2000 years from now, and also being now, and also being 400 years ago, and also being and this is not just on this planet. We're talking about it's really a very interesting experience. And so I still haven't learned how to really compute that information, so it's kind of hard to convey. I don't know if that made much sense. Fenya, welcome. Hello, good to see you. George, yeah, it's Faith says that's her normal. Yeah, it's really a interesting and fun thing to go through, really, if once you know what's happening. I've been feeling really grounded, says Yala. I hope I said that right. A little too grounded, where I feel like it's intense. Yeah. Hey, Jenny, you made it. Welcome. Yeah, for sure. Like, the one way I can really tell how grounded I am is how tall I feel. I know that sounds strange, but things will actually look as if I'm closer to the ground when I'm very grounded. And often too, when I'm so grounded, it almost feels like I have let my legs become roots in a way where I just don't have that much height in my legs or something. I know this isn't really a thing people see. This is what it feels like. And then everything just is closer to my eye that would normally be lower. And in that grounding, digging deep, it seems counterintuitive. However, it's very important to ground. The more we ground, the more higher energy, higher frequency experience we can experience. And so even though it feels counterintuitive, that's exactly what needs to be done in order to be in this place so we can be in balance. We're here to connect the energy, right? We're here with this rainbow, this bridge people kind of experience that we're doing. The rainbow warriors, we're the bridge people. And when we're doing that, it's needed to connect into the earth. So it's that's cool that you're doing that. I hope that it's not causing any kind of disharmony for you, but it sounds like it's really awesome. Those of you who are struggling with grounding, if you can bring dirt into the house when there isn't, when for, people who are living in areas where the world is getting covered with snow right now, bring dirt into the home. You can set your feet on top, just for a few minutes a day, 5 minutes with your hands, 10 minutes with your, or sorry, 5 minutes with your feet. But if you would prefer your hands, 10 minutes a day with your hands, it gives that experience of the ionization process, and allows us to have that, the minerals and things that our body really do need to kind of absorb into our system. It's become a recent thing that the psychological world are talking about. They're calling it earthing, to earthing. And this is something that, we've been doing for a while. I used to have some sensation of seasonal depression. And then I started to bring the gardening things into the home to get ready for the later on that wasn't happening yet, just because I needed something to do like that. And I found that seasonal depression was gone, and I do it now all the time. So if you have any way to get soil, sand, anything like that, bring it into your house. It doesn't need to be a big bucket. You can just sprinkle some on like a plate and set your feet on top of it. That will occur. Just allow yourself that time. It really is assistive, and that helps to ground, in those ways too. Zonda, I've been barefoot most of my 64 years. My podiatrist called me a free spirit because of it. So I'm used to that. Awesome. Yeah. I'm the same way. I'm not a shoe person. It's funny too, because everyone, I think, just assumes that I can't afford them, so they buy them for me. So I have all these shoes that I don't ever use. Um, and then Jenny said, there's a reason why I love grounded veggies. Yeah, for sure. Like, a lot of people are going to the root foods right now a lot more than normal too. I've been noticing that. And that's part of the thing about food too, is we're noticing our bodies craving things that we didn't really know to ever have a craving for before. And some of us haven't even eaten some of the foods that our body's craving. And so it's just searching for that element. So sometimes I've noticed a couple of times my body wanted like something that's really rubbish, like candy, and so I would eat that. And that in particular experience, I believe my body was needing to flush and purge, because that's what the response was. However, in other cases, our bodies are looking for the closest thing to the element that it wants, and maybe having never eaten it before. And so one fun thing to do, if you can, in your produce section, depending on what kind of store you have, to touch the food, and like your body will tell you yes or no. It's a weird, cool experience. Some people will do the rock sensation. So if you, I think, I can't remember how the answer to it. So if please write it down. Leaning forward, I think, means no. Leaning back is yes, or it's the other way around. For me, I touch it and my body says yes. Like I feel I need to eat that. Like all of a sudden I'm craving the thing. So, and also static electricity against some of these produces that some of these produces. So like fresh food are acting like I'm touching a doorknob with static electricity in my body. And that's my body telling me no. What's been fascinating is I've had that happen a handful of times. And then not too long after, there'd been like an E. coli outbreak on that particular food. So it's kind of just listen to yourself the most that you can. It's hard, you know, especially since a lot of us hadn't been listening to our bodies for so long, that it's just starting to, um, it's building a rapport with a neglected child is basically what we're doing when we're learning this dialogue, and so there's also that trust that needs to be built between you and your body, and just allow for that. It's trying. It'll tell you. Increase in water intake is the best answer for all of the stuff that's coming through. Everybody is wanting more water. Allow yourself that. Um, I'm noticing myself going on these not intentional, but juice and tea fasts, with a lot of water also, just not wanting this solid food right now. Another thing for a lot of us who are having these food allergy things, the higher the water content, the natural water content of the fresh food, the higher the frequency is. It's just kind of how I was shown it. Like the visual I got, it's always there. It's water is always a thing, but that's what I was shown. So I don't know if that's specific to me, but I think it's correct for most of us. So um, Corey says, thank you for addressing that. You're welcome. Um, Hello, Nadia. Welcome. It's good to see you. You managed to make a live. Thank you so much for coming. Carmen says, last February, I had all the Ascension symptoms within 3 months. It feels like dying. Yes. Yes. When you first come in, and on top of it, no one else seems to know what's going on. The doctors are like, you're fine. After a while, even calling you a hypochondriac, or even thinking that you're the one that offended me the most, and this is just my own thing, is that I would never take any of their medications, but then they labeled me a drug seeker. I wasn't there for anything. I wanted to know what was going on. What's wrong with me? And it feels like you're dying. All of a sudden, these weird things happen, especially with the heart palpitations. That one's a hard one to feel okay in. It's there's immediate fear that comes up. There's something wrong with my heart, and the one I had that got me the most was I could feel my heartbeat in the bottom, the last rib. Like I'm like, and like really hard, like my heart was down there. And it's just something that we're all experiencing. These heart palpitations are still occurring for a lot of people. I've had them very briefly now. The first few experiences I had a couple of years ago when it first started happening lasted 10 or 15 minutes, but probably felt like a lot longer. And so Venya asked the question, can you explain what ionized water is? Ionized water, I don't, I'm not a scientist, but I can ionize and alkalize water. So it's water that's been given been given the intention to be more in alignment with what it's truly designed to be. A lot of people will do things with it. I don't really focus on those in particular. What I do, however, you can transform water. Water is beautiful, beautiful source, and it's full of love. And honestly, a lot of us are starting to perceive this love coming from this consciousness of the water. You can do a lot of things with it, like you can make moon water, you can put crystals in the water and then amplify that with the moonlight or even the sunlight. There's a lot of things that people do. I'm not as equipped to answer that specific question though, so perhaps someone else will know a little bit more about that. I can easily research it though, I'm sure. One other thing that's really fun with water too, before I forget, is not only do we tend to be better channels near to water, so a lot of us will get the most inspiration while in the bath or the shower, doing dishes, things like that. But there's this way to transform the water into holy water, and that's simply sending love to it. And we do that regularly here. Once you fill up your glass or in the container the water's coming from, you just bless it by saying, I love you. You say positive, loving things to it in appreciation and gratitude for it. I think that's where praying over food really came from, is just my understanding of why we did it changed based on religion and word of mouth over generations. However, I do that with my food in this understanding way of when I put my hands over the food, so the plate is at the base here and I'm just above it, I'll accept all of the things that are not in alignment, all the energy of discord, and I'll pull it up, and I could feel it raising to the palms of my hands as I do it. And then I release it up, and I send it up. And for a moment, I let my hand stay there as I collect more love to then put into the food, while I say whatever feels natural at that time. And I am changing the vibration of that food. Even the most pure, beautiful, unmessed with food can still carry this energy of discord. The workers that were moving the food, that were picking the food, every step from picking that orange, that after that is picked, every exchange that occurs, some of the energy not only leaves it, but also is changed by what that experience is of the person holding it, handling it. And so a lot of times what I'm doing is I'm removing the discord. I feel like stressed worker energy and just and mad at the boss and going into that. And so I'm pulling that out. You can also do that while you're cooking. I usually do. it's a lot of fun. And it's kind of a cool experience to do it. Izonda says, I think some of these need a doctor exam just to make sure all's well. Yeah, I totally agree. And I've done that. And I 100%, I'm not standing in to be your doctor. I am not giving you medical advice. This is my experience of finding out. None of these things resonated with, like, I would go in and they didn't have any explanation for what's happening. And right now, during this eclipse that we're having, and we're moving into the 1111 portal, this particular 1111 portal is a lot more intense than I have ever experienced it to be. And I've been aware of these things for quite some time. And, my initial awakening occurred the day before I was 4. And in that time, I've got to experience these things in a little bit more awareness. And to be in this particular 1111 portal is an honor and a privilege to just feel this energy and this love and this celebration. We may be here in this place where we are noticing this struggle that's occurring for us. It's difficult energy in some cases, in a lot of cases. But up here, a little bit higher than we are, they're shouting excited praise of celebration. Like, I don't know a better like it feels like they're popping champagne bottles, you know what I mean, and cheering. And so in that experience, that time frame for us to move into November 11th, which is the 1111 portal, we're already there. It's being amplified by this lunar eclipse and this bookend eclipse experience, but it's also that a portal that you're already feeling and have been for some time. It's really amazing. There was something else that was that Jupiter is leaving its retrograde soon. That's going to happen for Thanksgiving. But there was a different thing that I meant to actually point out. Oh, there's also the Taurids, the peak of their, I'm sorry, whatever it's called, all the stars that fly. Like that, losing vocabulary. I've always been a very articulate individual. I have had access to a wide vocabulary for the vast majority of my life. And when I can't think of a simple word, it's very noticeable to me. And that's happening a lot. Also slurring of speech. Again, this is all throat chakra stuff. We're moving through a different energy and a space for that. So, yeah, definitely. Some of the symptoms that Izonda said, yeah, there's this, it's really a good idea to mention to go to your doctor. Fenya says we have a full moon in the Netherlands. Yeah, and the eclipse comes with the full moon. So you're already in that full moon energy. You're already there. The 1111 portal, Jenny, I don't know how to describe it as well as I would like. What I see, it's a series of gates. We're in this big, beautiful plot of land, right? And in the middle, there's a ring of a gate, a fence line that's a circle, and then there's another one, and another one, and another one, and another one, and it goes all the way out. And these gates, or these fence lines, had gates that we closed at different moments, for a reason. We needed to close those in order to be sure that when we are moving into that next ring, then we are able to experience it without disharmony. And so we put these gates there, and those gates can only be opened by you. So as we approach these gates, they can be left closed, or you can choose to open them. This is all choice. None of us are a victim of circumstance. And so this is one of those gates. This is one of those spaces where you can choose to open this energy and let the experience in, and to thrive and to float in this beautiful space, and so when we first feel the energy coming in, especially if we don't expect it, it can feel disruptive. It can feel alarming. It can feel like panic. I got to do something to solve this problem. And it's not even that. Now we know what it is, that we're going to have this energy move through us. And the vast majority of the sensations that come through for us aren't even ours. You are this amazing sponge of the universe of experience. And so a lot of the stuff that's moving through us, we are conduits. Mandolin is the one that coined that phrase to me, and it's so true. Like we are the conduits of this energy, and so it's moving through us. And to allow it to move through. And that's why Archangel Michael is always saying, this is a message that I got over a year ago, and I keep getting prompted to bring it up again and again, probably like a broken record. But what we were being asked to do is to acknowledge these things. Acknowledge you existed, you really happened, you're real in some way, some place. You are real. But without judgment. So I'm not saying, okay, let me take this in, this is mine, or let me figure out what this means, or let's research it further and dig into it. You're good or bad or whatever, all those types of judgments to not be used. And so without judgment, and then to let it go, to release it with love. As we say, I love you, when we release this energy, we're kind of given this sensation of gratitude while we do it to them. We thank you for your service. And that assists that final letting go of that energy so it can move on. These energies that are disruptive for us don't want to be here either. They basically are prisoned or imprisoned animals, caged animals that just want to go. And so for us to ignore it is causing a prison. We didn't know that this whole time, did we? I didn't. And that's the culture I was brought up with, was just ignore it, stuff it down, push it over there, don't have to feel it, don't do it, and it turns out the contrary is also actually the truth, is that we lean into it. You don't have to make yourself experience it deeply. As soon as I look at it, it goes away. So that's part of what's happening with this energy of the portal too. So I don't know if I described or explained your answer at all. I hope that, lean into it. Exactly, Jenny. Amy says, all of my family have flu symptoms right now. I think it's Ascension symptom, but they are not open to anything. Yes, so tired and go to bed and cannot sleep. Yeah. And the flu thing, there's a spiritual flu that people have been talking about. And again, it's not really the flu, but we're noticing these symptoms of flu. And it's interesting to look at. You can actually see how many people are going through it on a regular basis by being a YouTube follower and following channels like mine, bigger ones usually. I love that everybody's here. Thank you. I'm so honored. There's so many of these individuals who do these channels that have just kind of disappeared a little bit the past few weeks. That's usually an experience of that, where everyone's feeling that flu-like experience. Welcome, Mick. Good to see you. Jordan says, lack of judgment for energies and physical symptoms. Yes, thank you. Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. I want to, on a personal note, I'd like to say thank you to someone. I don't know who you are. I got my first donation to my channel, and I'm just the validation of someone taking that moment and being like, you're making a difference, really impacted me. And I want to thank you for that. The initials AR. I don't know who you are, but thank you very much. I really appreciate that. That changed our week. And you got my kids some snow boots. Thank you. Carla says, maybe flower essences can help. They have the energy of flowers and help with different emotions. Yeah, that's a great idea. Like there's a lot of these natural things that are present for us that grow around us, are giving us this upliftment and assisting us in this. Like, I remember in 2019, the summer 2019, my grandfather used to always say, a weed is something that you don't know what to do with. And I really took that to heart, and I've carried that with me in my life. I noticed mullein. Some people call it lamb's ear. They're the little fuzzy flowers that end up growing tall, and the little yellow flowers on them. Anyway, they are really good at dried leaves and made into a tea for any upper respiratory difficulty at all. And all of a sudden, actually, I think it was 2018. I started to know, it was 2018. I started to notice all of a sudden there's mullein everywhere. Like And people started calling it a weed, and we're trying to get rid of it. And it just kept coming and coming and coming. The little yellow flowers, if you put them in a jar with mostly the flowers, but some honey, and put them in a window with a mason jar lid and everything, it will turn to the best cough syrup that you've ever had. There's, just be sure that it's not been sprayed in the area or anything like that. But those things are the earth always gives us what we need. And so I knew there was going to be an upper respiratory problem coming around the corner, because all of a sudden we had this medicinal solution, and that's one example of many. If you notice something in particular that's suddenly growing around your biosphere, your energy, the space that you spend your time, that's being given to you. It's really cool. It's truly a gift. The earth reaching up and saying, here you go. This is to help you. I love you. And the love back that you can give to it is just so beautiful. It's meant. It's meant. Corey says water is for purification and flushing the system. Yeah. Coconut water and fruit water is for hydration. Yep. A lot of people are dehydrated. Right. That's a very good point. I'm noticing that also. Like that's juices and particular teas. There's like, you just can't drink enough water and just so thirsty. That's a different kind of need right there. And so I've been noticing that when I have the most intense isn't even the right word, just the strongest experience, spiritually speaking, I immediately want orange juice. Like that's what's happening with me right now, and so that's just something to consider. Listen to your body and what it's asking for, and I've gotten to the point where, if I don't have orange juice in the fridge, it's time to go to the store. In fact, I got some here. But everyone has their thing. So just allow yourself to try things too. Some of these teas you've probably never even experienced before. Some of you, if you're not big into tea, allow yourself to experiment with it. Another thing too, we have a Telegram group. I think there's like 79 of us right now on the group, and it's all people like us, beautiful people on this awakening journey with great solutions. And there's people from all over the planet that are all on this meeting or this group. And so there's always somebody awake, or usually, and so you'll have people that come in and say, hey, I'm having this symptom, anyone else? Or I'm having a struggle. Can you send me some good energy or intent or whatever? We have all kinds of beautiful people who are service oriented and just loving, and a lot of those individuals also join us for our Zoom meetings. The next Zoom meeting is tomorrow, starting at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time and 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That will go for 3 hours. Our meetings are going to start to be, instead of doing 2 3-hour meetings, instead of doing 3 2-hour meetings a week, we're doing instead 2 3-hour meetings. So Tuesdays and Fridays from now on, and they will always run for 3 hours. So those of you who are unable to join in the beginning can join, later. It's all good. And the same is true if you can only join earlier. That's okay. You can leave early. There's no requirement for you to speak, for you to turn on your camera. We are just there in a space of love. And some individuals don't even choose to use their voice, but still really want to engage. Well, write in the comment part of the Zoom meeting, and I'm happy to be your voice and to include you in the conversation in that way. We have no intention except for just love and knowing what it's like to be in your experience. A lot of us has felt utterly alone for so long, and not just alone, but questioning your sanity, wondering if you're going crazy and what do I do? And in that experience, we get pulled away from love a lot, and we go into this place of fear. The opposite of love is fear. And love is the purest thing of God. That is God. When you return to source and feel that, just nothing but love. The opposite is fear, and so when we go into shame and guilt and fear and things like that, we're not ending our experience in this ascension journey, but we are pulling yourself away for a moment into a place of disharmony. And so to eliminate that fear, we've prepared these spaces for you. So if you would like to join, the Telegram link is in the description of every one of my videos, except the live. This I haven't done on this one. I will add it to this. And then I will also put the link for tomorrow's meeting in the community section, as well as in this description too when I'm done with this, or in the comment section. I hope that you all join, for any of you that have the desire to do so. And, you know, I will always have the links to our meetings, by the way, in my community section for anyone who's interested in the future. I want to thank you all for joining. I need to wrap this up, but I do want to just really quickly, that the burst of energy that Bob mentioned, that is something that's been really fun to have. And a lot of people are having it and it's scaring them. And so that's why I want to bring it up. The burst of energy for some people, when they're not in a centered place or whatever, they're distracted or maybe tired or something like that, which most of us are right now, it feels like vibration, and it almost like your whole body's just shaking. You know, and that's a lot of us being in a resistance space, because that's our natural knee-jerk reaction. You know, so when that comes through, when that energy comes through, I have picked up the practice of using what Mandolin has said, that we are conduits of this energy, to allow myself to become that. I am hollowed in a way where it can move through efficiently and with love. And that helps that energy stuff. You know, like, it also happens when we're overwhelmed with love. It needs to go out. I'm finding that happens in tears. You know, all of a sudden you feel like dancing, you know, just because you have this energy. You know, after these Zoom meetings that we do, I have this amplified energy. My daughter loves it, because then we just go play. We just run, because there's this love that happens. And so whatever it is that is correct for you, to let the energy move through and out. Some of us use creation, you know, like sculpting, music, writing, poetry, you know, different types of methods of sculpting and stuff. Like right now we're playing in the snow, and it's a place for that to go. And when we do that, we raise our vibration into this place of love. And I got to see what it looks like. Like, it keeps going. It goes all the way and over, out and out and out through all the cosmos. We affect. It looks like percussion waves, these waves of love that just go out. And that happens when you are in this place of joy, of play, and letting yourself be that conduit instead of holding that energy, letting it move through. What you need will stay with you. It's just so cool. Faye says some plants have big, bright, dancing auras. Friends see it. Yeah, that's so cool. All living things do. And all living things speak to us. It's a different thing when you're having that experience sometimes. I'm a gardener too, and I've started to experience the vibration of their vocal frequency. It's been kind of interesting. She also can feel the awareness of some plants, like some are awake and some asleep like us. Yep. It's different for every experience. And welcome, Linda. I'm just closing up, but you're welcome to watch this in replay. Thank you all for joining. I plan to do something like this a lot more frequently now that we've moved down our meetings to twice a week instead of 3 times a week. So we'll be able to do things more like this more often, as well as I will be doing more frequent guided group meditations that are also free. I will post those links in my community section as they come up. And that will be a Zoom thing. However, no one needs to speak or anything like that as well. You know, and in fact, it's discouraged while we're doing meditation. So I love you all so much. Thank you all for joining, and I hope to see you again soon. Aho blessings.